Welcome to another conversation off the clock. Hi, I'm Carmina Constantino Torres and this is Casey After Hours.
Automatic yung complaint mo pupunta na sa bangko. Na parang, pumunta na sa amin. Can you please make sure that the customer is heard? Tumatalino yung mga scammers. Pero dapat, the banks have to keep up also.
Yeah.
Parang, you have a refund, press on this link.
Correct.
Don't press on that link. Na dapat, pag sagutin nyo yung consumer, dapat may empathy. As soon as I entered the BSP, June of 2022, nag-private ako in SOCMED. And then when my dad entered politics, he was always reminding us, dapat simple kayo ha. Dave should have seen this and he would have been so proud.
Politics? She never liked it, even if she was born into a clan deeply rooted in it. Despite swimming against the tide, though, she eventually found herself immersed in the same world she thought she'd keep at arm's length, public service. And the truth, isolating the noise it brings, she liked it. She thrived in it. She had a rhythm going until her world stopped. Halos magunaw ang mundo niya nang biglang pumanaw ang kanyang asawa. And for a time, she tried to outrun the pain. But the grief, it caught up with her. At kinailangan niya itong harapin, ang pagtatapos ng isang kabanata ng kanyang buhay upang makapag simula muli. And since then, she's been unstoppable, dedicating her life to what remains of a love lost, her children, and to a nation she wants to succeed. Ours. Joining us today, Central Bank Deputy Governor Berna Romulo-Puyat. Deputy Governor Berna Romulo-Puyat.
Hindi ako sanay.
I know, right?
Yeah.
PF, hi.
PF, hi.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks for spending time with us, away from the dogs, away from the work.
Yes.
Diba? Tayo muna
Always
mag-uusap.
naman with you diba?
Thank you.
This is my second time here. And then the first time, it's nice just to see your new home. Not too many people know now. I knew you way back, but we got close.
During the pandemic.
During the pandemic, you were my last interview.
Yeah.
And then,
And parang yun, diba?
tuloy-tuloy na.
Tuloy-tuloy na siya.
Tapos parang you were in a way my lifeline.
And you were mine too.
Yeah, and then pinaglihaan mo nga si Biggie.
Correct.
Kasi
pero hindi
diba
naman
Biggie,
mukhang pag si Tizia.
Hindi, pero Biggie kasi gives you so much joy
yeah.
na parang not a care in the world, unconditional love.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for being here. You know, you have been leading quite a more private life now, no? Even if you are a deputy governor of the central bank and you continue to change lives still, but what exactly do you do? Kasi syempre ako, alam ko.
Yeah.
Pero para malaman din nung iba, ano naman ginagawa ni Miss Berna ngayon?
Well, as soon as I entered the BSP, June of 2022, nag-private ako in SOCMED. Kasi parang even in the BSP, kasi they're very private people. And I'm so happy in the BSP kasi they're really, it's like a private company, professionally run. Simple lang yung mga tao. Basically, my sector is, I handle, first, we have 20 branches and 5 regional offices. So it's basically 25 offices all over the country. We handle currency distribution.
Okay.
So you can imagine, we have 7,641 islands. So, and cash is still being used all over the country. But then in the regional offices, we also have our regional economic officers who do financial education, teach the people, we're promoting cashless payments. And then they're basically the eyes and ears. We want to know what's going on in the different parts of the country. I handle also FinCES, which is the Financial Inclusion Office. It's basically we have policies on financial inclusion, financial health. I handle consumer protection. So when people complain, we have our chatbot called the BSP online buddy called Bob. So, yon, lahat ng reklamo dumadaan sa amin. Kasi ayaw namin, kunyari, hindi magreklamo sila about a bank, e-wallet, tapos hindi sila matugunan. They can come to us and we make sure na the banks make sure that the consumers are always number one.
You know, that's very timely because recently, di ba, may mga complaints about certain transactions or transactions na hindi naman daw nila ginawa
Yes.
and yet their bank accounts were wiped out. Pero meron akong isang nakitang tweet na sinabi na huwag ka na dyan sa hotline nung whatever bank, dumiretso kayo sa BSP. Mas mabilis pa yan.
Mas mabilis, yes.
Tama?
Oo, kasi as soon as mapunta sa chatbot namin, it's an AI chatbot. Automatic yung complaint mapupunta na sa bangko. Na parang, pumunta na sa amin. Can you please make sure that the customer is heard? If the bank doesn't, so nakaano naman sa amin yan, ipapaharap na namin. Tapos, kunyari, hindi pa rin sila magkasundo. Meron na ngayon, because of the Financial Consumer Protection Act, ang BSP ngayon, meron na kaming parang mini court. Dati kasi, before this FCPA, pupunta pa sila sa korte. Ito ngayon, we can actually adjudicate up to 10 million pesos. So, meron na kami. So, parang agad-agad na, you don't have to hire a lawyer.
Correct.
We adjudicate.
And you sort of help decompress the system.
Yeah, and
no?
para mas mabilis rin. Kasi di ba dapat we're promoting safe banking, people to go to the banking system to e-wallet, but we have to protect the consumers.
Correct. Why do you think that dumadami yung ganyang mga, either they're scammed or they don't know that they're being scammed already?
That's why nga lagi namin in the BSP, we always tell, because marami ng digital nga rin ngayon. Digital, di ba, it's always easier for digital. Pero, that's why we're telling now the banks, but that's another sector na kailangan i-strengthen nyo yung cybersecurity ninyo. Dapat kasi tumatalino yung mga scammers. Pero dapat, the banks have to keep up also with that. Pero lagi namin sinasabi sa mga bangko, and we're happy naman a lot naman are complying, na dapat, pag sagutin nyo yung consumer, dapat may empathy. Hindi yung, kasi nag-press ka ng link. Kasi, di ba dapat na we understand that you must be undergoing all this. Di ba dapat may ganun, may consumer protection?
Kasi yung sinasabi nyo, yung sinasabi mo kanina, na tumatalino, sometimes you get texts. Na bangko mismo yung nandun.
Correct. Actually, ako mismo, I won't mention the bank, kung saan ko nakukuha yung OTP.
Correct.
Doon din nag-text. So, we're asking the banks, dapat kayo rin, tulungan nyo rin kami na never press on links. Napansin mo, pag kunyari mismo sa where you get your OTP, may parang you have a refund, press on this link.
Correct.
Don't press on that link. Kasama yun sa law actually, and we're always telling them, the bank should never share links. And never share QR code. Pero, alam ko yun means, kasi syempre, consumer protections under me, parang, mapapaisip ka na, teka lang,
So
bakit may link?
Why does that happen? How are they able to get
That's why we're working with the ICT now. Kasi parang I heard na they're able to intercept yung sa NTC. That's why I'm actually quite happy now with the new secretary, si Secretary Aguda. Itong si Henry Aguda, I'm so happy with him. And I'm not close to him at all. When I met with him, agad-agad na. And ito, I texted him about this kasi I was very concerned na, kasi mismo ako nakita ko kung saan lumalabas ang OTP doon. Sabi niya, sige, we'll work with you on that para matanggal yan. So this is not only a BSP, this is really a whole of government approach. But at least tulong-tulong.
Now, I'm talking to you now as Deputy Governor of the BSP. The last time I talked to you, you were Tourism Secretary. And always, kahit anong posisyon ang meron ka, the fire is there. This yung gigil na mapabuti sa anumang kapasidad ang meron ka, ang taong bayan nandoon. To what would you attribute this? Bakit ganyan, solutions, nandun ka parati sa solusyon?
Kasi all my summers were spent campaigning for my dad. So while everybody was in the beach, ako nangangampanya. And then talagang tinaga ako talaga sa utak ko na hindi ako mag-enter ng government. Ayoko. First ko talaga was in the PMS, the Presidential Management Staff. And then dun mo nakikita kasi I would meet with the different cabinet members. And then, doon mo makikita yung mga problema. Tapos iniisip mo, if I were in that position, baka magawa ko yon. I remember I was in charge of women farmers naman.
Correct.
That was the time na Dave just died. My husband died 2010. I was still in the Department of Agriculture. And then, So, I had to go around the country. Part of it, I have to admit, umiikot ako kasi I wanted to forget kasi I was grieving. And then, at the start, I admit na parang hindi makarelate sa akin yung mga farmers kasi of, I guess, how I look.
Oo. Mestiza.
Oo, tisay, ganun. Pero, nung nalaman nila byuda ko, right away, agad na alam nila, solo parent, naiintindihan ko.
May shared pain kayo.
Oo.
Has it always been this way that you were fearless in living and loving, or did losing Dave sort of catapult you to become so?
You're the first person that asked me that question. And then come to think of it, yes, parang that was the turning point. Kasi before Dave passed away, I didn't like going around the country. And then I had all these excuses not to travel all over the country. Tapos nung namatay si Dave, I had one friend, her name is Olivia Limpeao. She said, diniretso niya ako. Paano mo malalaman kung anong nangyayari kung sa mga women farmers kung hindi ka umikot? And then sabi ko, eksakto, I wanna forget. So that's when I started going around. And I enjoyed it. I enjoy talking to farmers, and hindi nila kilala kung sino ako ha. They just see me as itong byuda na galing Department of Agriculture.
Taong gobyerno.
Taong gobyerno. They didn't ask who I was. Wala. Ironically nga, yung my biggest heartache, the worst thing that ever happened to me was what made me able to connect with the women farmers.
Nung kasagsagan, nung pinakamalaking dagok sa buhay mo, akala mo or inakala mo ba na yung pagtakbo mo mula dun sa sakit na yon ay siya palang magsisilbi na healing para sa'yo?
Ngayon ko lang na-realize na maybe I was running away, but then by running away, I discovered myself na, ito pala gusto ko. Parang it sounds so cliche, no? I discovered myself, but I enjoyed it pala. And then also, Dave was 42. At the prime of his life, nagfo-football lang, na heart attack. So that also taught me na you can die tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, gawin mo na lahat ng gusto mong gawin kasi you don't know if this is the last.
So, something that could have potentially shackled you and could have potentially grounded you was actually the one that set you free.
But syempre, I was grieving, ha?
Of course.
Tapos, I remember my kids were staying inside my room, stayed beside my... Kasi at the time when Dave died, hindi ako makatulog. And then the two of them went to my room, tapos nakatulog kaming tatlo. So they stayed with me for 3 years until the child psychologist said, alam mo, you have to let go. Kasi yung anak mo, kasi when Dave died, my daughter was 14, my son was 13. Siyempre, nag-baby na ganon. So, I let go muna of my son, and then saka my daughter. But, yun, kasi it was painful. And then, yung pinakaayaw ko talaga at the time, Carmina, if you met me, yung kunyari sasabihin, 1 year na patay asawa mo, ba't ka naiiyak pa? Kasi I thought it was a thoughtless comment na, more than 1 year na patay asawa mo, ba't mo pa iniiyak ka? Napaka-thoughtless.
Yeah. And come to think of it, is there ever a deadline for grieving, for mourning? Wala, di ba?
In fact, when my son graduated last May, he took his master's, naiiyak-iyak pa rin ako kasi
He should have been there.
he should have been there and he would have been so proud of my son. Every time my daughter or my son, my milestones, mapapaisip ka na Dave should have seen this and he would have been so proud. You never get over grief. You never talaga, never.
I always say this because, as you know, I'm also still grieving over the loss of my dad, but I think of it now as a reminder of the love.
Yeah.
The love that you once shared and the love that he left behind. Yun eh. So Who's to say that it should stop?
So when they've died, maraming bumibisita. May two, pero they were older na, widows. And then they said, don't be afraid, even if years after, it still hurts. Because it means that he's still in your heart.
As you were talking a while ago, it sort of set you free. It sort of catapulted you to, live your best life yet.
Oo.
But when was it that you last felt vulnerable? Meron ka bang takot na harapin ang buhay dahil wala, you feel raw, wala siya, wala na yung katuwang mo sa buhay. Bakit ka naging matapang na harapin muli itong susunod na kabanata ng buhay mo?
You mean takot? Well, ako kasi my daughter doesn't live here. And may takot ako palagi na anong mangyari sa kanya, wala ako doon. My son, kakauwi lang. Pero up to now, may pain pa rin siguro na every time they leave the house, kinakabahan ako na what if, knock on wood, may maksidente, ganon.
Kasi nangyari.
Nangyari na
On
eh.
an ordinary day.
Yeah. We were supposed to leave for Japan that Monday. It was Holy Week. Tapos sabi pa niya, bye, see you when I get back. I'll just play football. Tapos I receive a call. And then they said, they rushed Dave to the hospital. So, yun na nga eh, hindi, nangyari lang ganun eh. So, I guess, like you, being a mom, you're always afraid. Actually, masaya nga ako nung pandemic when my kids were just there. Kasi nandun lang sila, nakikita mo. You just have to pray that they're safe, they're protected. Yun lang eh, magagawa mo. They're safe, they're protected. Pero laging may anxiety pa rin paminsan-minsan.
But what calms you down though?
My dogs. Kasi ang dogs, unconditional love, at nakakatuwa lang talaga sila. And
Yun pa yung isa na sa dami ng pinagdaanan mo, bakit ka walang takot na buksan yung puso mo knowing that, may hangganan yan eh. May hangganan lahat.
Sa love life, wala na talaga.
Mamaya na yun.
Zero na yun.
Mamaya na yun. Itong love mo for dogs, I mean, eventually, di ba?
Yeah. Ang dogs kasi, I remember that during the pandemic. Kasi I still kept going out. I had to go out, di ba? Because I was reopening all these tourist destinations. Pag umuwi ako, hindi ko nakikita yung mga anak ko. Pero si Biggie, nako, excited na parang, wow, yung talagang si LV had to hold her kasi talagang nagkakandara pa siya yung, wow, at mawawala talaga lahat ng pagod mo na, tapos si Biggie pa yan kahit na 2 or 3 in the morning, nasa tabi, nandun lang sa foot of my chair, inaabangan ako hanggang matapos ang meeting ko.
Ang isa pa is even after, everything that you've gone through, you have several times opened up your heart, not to dogs, but to human beings. Pero ngayon, sinasabi mo tapos na?
Wala.
Bakit?
Because I'm happy with, it started when, di ba, when I entered the Department of Tourism, nawalan ako ng love life. Because parang when you're happy pala with your work, and this is what I realized na I kept looking for somebody kasi parang I didn't feel complete. But with my work and with my dogs, wala, I'm complete eh. I'm happy na eh. I'm not afraid to grow old alone, ha? Hindi naman. I'm not at all. But I used to be very, very afraid to grow old alone. Parang lagi ako naghahanap na my partner.
This was after Dave passed
After
away.
Dave. Pero when I entered the DOT, I was so busy. Tapos, ang dami mong pinagkakaabalahan kasi never ending naman yung problema eh. Parang mas comfortable ako doon. Parang masarap rin pala to be a little selfish na iniisip mo lang sarili mo.
Can you honestly say now that you are living your best
I'm
life?
happy now. I'm happy. Kasi masaya sa BSP. Tahimik lang ang tao. Simple. It's still government work. But at least, nakakatulong ka pa rin, pero tahimik lang. And and I like the people that I work with because they're really, really simple. Actually, pag mga BSPer nga, may Facebook man, ibang name pa. Parang they're very private. They're very private people. And I like it.
You've seen how this country has been run through actually 4 presidents,
I
diba?
started my GMA.
Yeah, so 4 presidents now.
Pinoy, yeah.
4 presidents now. You've used different lenses. You are not, even if you're leading a more private life now with the BSP, you know what's happening still. And given that you've seen it, you've seen how things are run here in this country in different positions, no? When you were in different positions. Ano sa tingin mo ba yung mali? Ano ba yung bakit naging ganito, I guess? From knowing what you know and seeing what you saw.
I'm trying to figure it out, Rene. Hindi ako makapaniwala sa napapanood ko. Yung, the one that bothered me the most na nakatatak, yung sa isang table, tapos nandun lahat ng pera, yun yung, that kept me up at night na parang, kasi I've never seen that much money in my whole life. Never.
I remember there was one time when you were newly installed as tourism secretary, there was one point na naiyak ka.
Naiyak ako, oo.
Naalala mo pa yun?
Oo, kasi I do remember nasa Canada na siya yung nag-interview sa akin. Because I was, inisa-isa namin yung budget and I even asked COA's help. Tapos, parang, yun eh. Ang ginawa ko na lang doon was, I made sure that the private sector, I invited the private sector to all our budget hearings. Yung internal. Para nakikita nila kung saan napupunta. Parang transparent eh. Kasi kung wala ka naman tinatago. Basta sa akin kasi, pag nung sa DOT, hindi mangyayari during my time. Yun lang ang sa akin. So, I remember that when I kept inviting the private sector, parang syempre nagulat yung mga kasama ko. Not because, but it was the first time it happened. Sabi ko, kung wala kayong tinatago, pakita ninyo para alam rin nila kung saan napupunta yung budget. At they can, kasi tourism lalo na is private sector led. So they can also guide us kung saan natin sila matutulungan.
Ano ang nararamdaman mo ngayon? Sabi mo nga, yung pinakatumatak sa'yo, nakita mo yung isang lamesa punong-puno ng pera.
Magkano ba yun? I'm trying to... Kasi I don't even know how much that is.
Can you even reconcile that visual, that photo, with the women farmers? Does that even make sense?
Kasi in the DOT nga, kulang na ang budget namin. Tapos, sabi ko, may budget pala. Pwede pala. Kung napunta sana sa ganito, or sa DA, kung napunta sana sa ganito, maybe... parang yung nasa isip ko, kung napunta lang sana sa tama, dapat, I'm not accusing anybody kasi but yung nakita ko lang, and according to them, that these were all lagay, nang hinayang lang ako na if this just went to the right projects, maybe we would, diba, the farmers wouldn't be that poor. Yung lagi kang, pag tinatanong ko sa mga, ba't ka ba nagtatrabaho? Kasi kulang ang sweldo ng asawa ko. Palaging ganun eh.
So yan, you've worked with farmers, the tourism industry.
Yung tourism stakeholders,
Ngayon,
akala ng mga tao mayayaman yan ha.
Hindi.
Yung owner syempre, pero yung mismong nagtatrabaho, yung bellboy, yung walang-wala, yung nagmamasahe, walang-wala.
So yan, nakita mo sila. Nakita mo din yung umiikot ka ngayon, 'di ba? Because one of your advocacies as well is inclusivity, 'di ba? Nakita mo yan. So ano sa tingin mo ang nangyayari kung bakit hindi pa rin napapagsilbihan yung tunay na nangangailangan?
I'm just hoping with what's happening now na mas mapupunta sa tama yung budget. Parang maybe glass half full pa rin ako na magising and alam ng lahat, nakatingin ng mga tao kung saan napupunta yung budget. I'm sure naman, hindi naman hoping, I'm sure naman matatauhan. And I notice kasi now when I'm looking at my feed, people are not flaunting their wealth anymore. I noticed that. But I hope maglast. Kasi yung what bothered me lang was, these kids didn't realize na mali to flaunt your wealth, yung values nila.
Exactly.
Kasi di ba tayo, Carmina, maybe is it our ano na,
Hindi wala siya sa ulirat natin na gawin yon.
wala nga baka is
Hindi
it
siya-
a different,
I don't know.
kasi,
I mean, your kids don't
although
do it
I'm
either.
way older than you,
No, but
I'm
your
56.
kids, okay.
No, my
Your
kids,
don't.
no.
My kids don't.
My kids,
We didn't.
no.
Ito sigurong isipin ng iba after hearing you say that, Romulo ka nakasandal ka na sa pader.
When my dad entered politics, nako, he was always reminding us, dapat simple kayo ha. Dapat, walang gastos. Kasi my dad, maybe is Ilocano, napakakuripot. Hihingi lang ako ng pamanood ng sine. Tapos parang sa sermonan ka pa na, do you need this? Yun ang kinagisnan ko na when I was growing up. Anything I had to work for it.
Oo.
Pero my dad, when he ended his government service, he had one car. He only had one car. Tapos nasira pa. Sira-sira. So what I did pa, I remember I bought him a Starex pa Sabi ko, Dad, parang hindi naman pwedeng stop ang kotse. Kasi daddy ko was ganun So, I guess we had enough, but hindi syempre yung ganitong nakikita mo. It was just enough na to eat 3 times a day. Pero hindi siya syempre you also had wants, pero sasabihin ng mami mo, ay nako, magtrabaho ka muna, may mga, maybe because we only had enough, we didn't have, but I was happy hindi naman, I didn't feel deprived.
I remember reading this article that you wrote. I think it was, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years after Dave had died. You were talking to young widows, if I remember correctly. And you were just pouring your heart out, no? And now you're here. You've had so many starts and stops in your life. What do you tell women now, not necessarily widows, who think they've reached the end of the line? Who think na, hanggang dito na lang ako, tapos na. Whatever it is that led them there. Coming from someone, again, who's had so many starts and stops, and yet here you are, you're still going.
First, allow yourself to grieve. First, iyak mo. Kailangan mo kasi ilabas Pity yourself, ganun. Pero after that, give yourself a timeline. Kasi it will pass. It always passes. Diba? Yung hurt, diba, remember when your dad died, when Dave died, diba araw-araw pagising mo, ang bigat-bigat, tas parang feeling mo may kutsilyong gumaganon sa'yo. Pero diba, pagising mo may, diba, you have butterflies in your stomach, hindi mo alam kung paano. Pero after a while, diba, pagising mo parang, masakit na pero it's not that heavy. Ako kasi, always think of it as, don't be afraid to try kasi hindi mo nga alam if it's your last. Live your life to the fullest kasi hindi mo, like my husband died at 42. So, allow yourself to grieve first, pero after that, gawin mo lahat ng gusto mong gawin. But believe me when you help just even one person, mas may high yon when you help one person than buying a bag, honestly.
Totoo yan. Kasi
diba?
parang mas nabubuhay ka, mas nararamdaman mo.
Kaysa diba when you buy something or bumili ka for yourself, mas masarap na tumulong ka kaysa you buy something for yourself. Kasi magsasawa ka rin Pero yung lifetime
So you've unlocked it. You now know that living your life for others.
Pero alam mo, I never really thought about it. My friends always tell me, yung problema ko, I run away from my problems. And I don't analyze enough. Pero ngayon siguro, and ikaw pa, you didn't give me questions in advance.
No, I never do.
Kaya hindi ko pinag-isipan kung ano mong tanungin mo, yun ang, sabi ko, my staff was going, ma'am, walang questions in advance. Sabi ko, hindi, that's PF, okay lang yun. So, you're
okay.
making me think now. Pero, yun parang sabi ko lang, matulungan mo lang isang tao. Alam mo, okay ka na.
Pero kung halimbawa, isa kang babae, na feeling mo, wala na, tapos na. For whatever reason, your journey has ended.
It's never
What
the
do you
end.
tell them?
No, it's not the end. This is just the beginning. It might seem like it's the end. And I know how it feels. Akala mo na, ito na yon. And believe me, I went through it. Pero it's never the end. It's just, kung sa Korean novela, ikaw yung main character, nasa middle ka pa lang. Tapos may magbibigay sa'yo ng lakas. It could be a dog. It could be somebody, a friend, or wala But it's never the end. Until mamatay ka. Ang end lang kung patay ka na. It's never the end.
It's never gonna happen this way. It will never end this way if you didn't become your own constant. So, Berna Romulo-Puyat, thanks for dropping by today. And thank you for showing us the power of being your own constant. Maraming salamat. And that's it for another episode of KC After Hours. You know the drill. A like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.